Hay algo que tienes que saber.
¿Qué es lo que tengo que saber?
The biggest international motion picture of all time.
Mi mujer, señorita López, tiene que amar a la tierra como yo la amo.
Is coming to America.
¿Qué hubo? ¿Sabes el jale en el que anda? Esto se va a poner muy feo.
I guess not a lot of fans know this, but you're actually fluent in English.
I am. This is not my first language, and yeah, I'm. I only learned English. What was it? 7 years ago. So.
This film opens with what I think has to be the most obscure Chris Christopherson reference I've ever heard.
And I don't even know what the reference is, but is it from one of his albums?
It's the original recording of
Yeah.
Me and Bobby McGee opens
Right.
with him
saying
if it sounds country, man, that's what it is.
And if it sounds Spanish, then that's what, yeah. And that's, yeah, Matt Piedmont, our director, was adamant about tracking him down and getting him to record. Yeah, so he got him on a phone line from his house in Hawaii or wherever he lives, and he was nice enough to do that.
If you play this out of context, it's gonna sound terrible. But I have to say that it was great. It was great to do a film where I was able to laugh, and about acting, about filmmaking, about how serious we take this sometimes, you know, about soap operas, about politics, about almost everything that matters in my life, you know. I was able to make fun and see it from a different perspective, and it was a lot of fun.
One of the things that's great about seeing you in this is that you're just fantastic at deadpanning, as is Will Ferrell, and the whole film is sort of maybe the most flamboyant deadpanning I've ever seen.
That's big talk, Silas. Was that a question?
It's a statement that I would appreciate if you would comment on.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I learned my deadpan in the Catholic Church in Manuka, Illinois. I used to do the gospel readings, and I learned that was kind of my first audience where I could sincerely read a piece of the Bible, and my friends would understand that it was hilarious, and everyone else would think I was giving a devout reading, and I learned that was called deadpan. Getting to do it with Will, you know, one of the legends of all time, was one of the most delicious things I've ever gotten to do. And I was honestly scared to death the morning going to do a couple of those scenes that I would be able to keep a straight face with Will Ferrell in my face. I couldn't keep a straight face, so they cut those scenes. I was actually fired for a couple weeks, and then I had some pictures of the director, and I'm back in the movie.
It's pretty surreal. It's pretty surreal how I even got the part, because I'm an unknown, and you know, who would take a risk on an unknown? Not in this town. I'm just letting you know it doesn't happen. And Will did, so I feel like it's the greatest compliment that a guy like Will Ferrell, my hero, I mean, he literally has like an altar in my home. I have like multiple Will Ferrell memorabilia before I even knew him. And he took a chance and he validated me as an actor. So it's pretty surreal.
He's sort of famous. Well, it's a surreal film.
Yeah.
He's sort of famous for improvisation, which
Yes.
of course he's sort of limited in doing in this because of the language.
You would think. You would think. You would think. But he's very sneaky, that Will. He would ask questions, and he would ask, oh, so what is this? Is this feminine or masculine? And then he would be quiet, and then he would say, oh, and this means this, right? And I'd be like, yeah, Will, like, wow, you're learning Spanish. Wow. And then all of a sudden he'd bust it out in the middle of a scene as an improvisation. And I'm like, what? That's what you're doing? You sneaky Will. And then we had to bring it onto set, you know, bring it on, because he's improvising with you. You got to go there. You just can't leave him hanging. You got to bring it. So we did. And that was a beautiful thing.
Will is also famous for being very good at improvisation, which of course he can't necessarily do in Spanish. Do you get to do it in the scenes?
Oh yeah, I improvised a lot, and And I just always try to say that my last word would be the one written in the script. But it was not just Will, the director didn't speak Spanish either. So I would be like, oh, did you like it? And he would be like, yeah, wow, awesome. Well, what did you say? And I was like, no, you're going to have to wait for someone to translate to you. It was fun. It was fun. It's the time, it was like the time of my life, man. I have never had so much fun on a film set.
You know, the goal of mine in doing this movie was to not be that I spoke Spanish poorly, that I spoke as authentically as I could, so that I could fool the English-speaking audience, but that even a Spanish-speaking member of the audience would go, oh, that's pretty good, actually. So that was my goal. So that kind of cut, that used every part of my brain just to remember my lines and to pronounce them correctly. That improvising there wasn't much in terms of verbal. There's some physical moments that we created and reactions and things like that. But
well, Genesis was actually just saying how impressed she was at things you would throw out that she had no idea were coming.
I would try to, I could do a two-line thing here and there, and there's a moment at the end of the movie where I just start riding away from her on my horse, and I quickly found out, how do you say, are you okay with walking? And I just said that to her. She was like, oh yeah, okay. I just forced her to walk alongside me. But that was a little improv moment, but they were few and far between.
On March 16th, the battle begins.
Quiero a la muchacha, solo te daré una oportunidad. Suelta a la mujer y te dejo vivir.
Gael García Bernal, Diego Luna, Genesis Rodriguez, and introducing Will Ferrell.
Yo soy Armando Álvarez.
Casa de mi Padre, in color.
You speak American?
¿Ah?
Do you speak American?
No, señor. No habla americano.
March 16th,